The Lost Legion was decimated by that malevolent scourge.
The likes of Megatron and Optimus, with their heavy weaponry and all that, they're an everyday sight in the Transformers universe, and they seem pretty damn invincible, but even these super powerful alien robots dread one thing that they can't even see. Yes sir, we are talking about the cosmic rust, a disease that infects all Cybertronians alike without any differentiation. Like all infections, this one didn't have a cunning plan or a strategic ploy. All it wanted was to spread, and in the process, a small part of a Cybertronian's metallic body would develop the rust that would spread throughout the entire body. That individual would eventually perish, but of course, there's a lot more to the cosmic rust than meets the eye. And this is what we're going to explore in this video, so let's begin, shall we?
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Decepticons! Insecticons!
What is the super deadly cosmic rust? The Transformers universe is beyond the constant explosive battles between the Autobots and Megatron's Decepticons. As we already know, there exists a silent and fearsome enemy, which is a massive mortal threat to the Transformers. It's known as the cosmic rust, the disease first seen in the 1974 Transformers series. This disease was capable of corroding a Transformer's metallic body to its core and hence posed a grave danger. It originated from an asteroid shower that infected the lightning bug, which looked like a giant beetle. This gave Megatron an opportunity to then use the disease as a weapon against their arch rivals, the Autobots. The sneakiness of the cosmic rust, capable of turning a Transformer into dust without throwing a single punch, makes it all the more menacing. This adds a layer of vulnerability to the otherwise infallible metal titans. This disease acts as a gentle reminder that even the mightiest characters can fall victim to time and decay. However, the disease was not just a Transformer headache. In hostile human hands, the disease could be weaponized against anything metallic, including man-made machines, and thus it's a universal threat.
Longer alone. All right, Insecticons! We'll take care of your clones!
Cosmic rust in Transformers animated episodes. It all started with Transformers Generation 1 Episode 22, when Megatron, along with his troops, came across a planet in space that had the Autobot symbol upon it. Upon descending, they saw no trace of life and figured that it was unlike the Autobots to abandon a planet to decay. They found themselves in front of a primitive communication device. When activated, it presented a recorded message from an ancient Transformer to warn the visitors. The message alerted them of an impending ruin, which caused the planet's downfall and their eventual extinction. But Megatron, being Megatron, paid no heed to the ill omens and went ahead. They discovered a lightning bug that emitted high-powered rays capable of widespread ruin. The destruction that the lightning bug could cause fanned Megatron's ulterior motives. He decided to use the Autobots' own invention of the lightning bug on them and get rid of his rivals. During the transportation of this weapon, an asteroid was quickly approaching Megatron's astral train. They used the lightning bug to eliminate the threat, but unfortunately Megatron was hit by a piece of the asteroid that broke into smaller pieces. Upon removing the asteroid pieces from Megatron's chest, it was discovered that he had rusted where he was hit. This came as quite a shock, since Transformers were known to be rust-proof. On the other hand, Perceptor, an ingenious scientist, was applauded for his discovery of corrode, a liquid that prevented corrosion of any form. The Autobots had decided to spray the monuments of Earth with this magical liquid to prevent them from corrosion and decay, but since corrode could only be made by a rare element, they had just enough to use on the Statue of Liberty. While Optimus and his crew were spraying Lady Liberty with corrode, Perceptor was abducted on Megatron's command to help him find a cure. When Perceptor presented before Megatron, the Decepticon leader made a proposition to put an end to the constant conflict between the Autobots and Decepticons and bring peace to the world in exchange for that cure. Perceptor also added that if he was successful in doing so, Megatron would give up his shiny new toy, the lightning bug, to which he agreed. Upon examining Megatron, Perceptor concluded that he had been infected by a metallic infection known as the cosmic rust, which perished many Transformers before him. It was somewhat like the Black Plague that humans had endured in their world. Perceptor went on to explain that the asteroid piece that hit Megatron was covered with cosmic rust rust germs that had been feeding on an alien energy source, which was the lightning bug. After Megatron cures himself of the disease, he infects Perceptor with the germ of the cosmic rust and uses him as bait to lure in the Autobots. Being familiar with Optimus, Megatron knew that he would rescue Perceptor, which would eventually put the Autobots at risk of being infected. Although Optimus was successful in saving Perceptor, he and the other Autobots were now infected by this disease. They then learned that the germ originated on a planet called Antilla, a thriving civilization for the 13th Legion, but soon an asteroid shower led to the rampant spread of the cosmic rust upon their planet. Unable to find a cure, the entire civilization fell victim to the infection and was wiped out. The Autobots also learned that corrode was the only antidote to the disease, but unfortunately the Autobots were out of the rare ingredient used in making this antidote. After fixing a faulty matter duplicator, now the Autobots only had to go collect some corrode from the Statue of Liberty and duplicate it. When the Decepticons got a whiff of this plan, they tried to prevent the Autobots from acquiring corrode. Ultimately, they were defeated and forced to retreat with the lightning bug being destroyed. The Autobots then harvested the corrode, successful in putting an end to the spread of the cosmic rust plague. The cosmic rust in comics. In the IDW comics as well, the disease makes a brief appearance. While the Decepticons and Autobots are engrossed in averting disaster on Earth, when lasers and cannons were stolen from the Sumdac lab, Ratchet, the Autobot medic, was on the Hydrax Plateau, an island. He came across the destruction the Decepticons had caused using cyber oxidants, also known as cosmic rust. He was astounded by the Decepticons' brutality as he noticed that the Decepticons didn't even spare their own bots. As he was on the lookout for Autobot survivors, he was startled by a voice crying out for help. Upon examining, he found it to be a Decepticon. Although Ratchet had no choice not to, he went ahead anyway to help him. In order to save this Decepticon, who introduced himself as Oil Slick, Ratchet decided to amputate his leg. But the Decepticon suggested a different way to cure him. There was an antioxidant that would heal him of the rust, but he had lost his entire supply during the battle. He asks for Ratchet's help in making a fresh batch of the antidote using his tools. They both go to and fro over it, with the Decepticon calling on the trusting name of the Autobots. Ultimately, Ratchet decides to help Oil Slick in making this antidote, but as soon as the cure is ready, the Decepticon stands by his name and character and showed his gratefulness by infecting Ratchet with the cosmic rust. He then goes on to boast that he was the disease creator and whilst testing it had unintentionally infected himself. He mocked the Autobots for being too gullible and trusting. Now while Oil Slick was busy blowing his own trumpet, Ratchet was successful in sneaking a sample of the cure for himself and some for the Ministry of Science to examine. Later, Rodimus Prime was infected with the same disease, but he must have cured himself as he didn't succumb to the plague. Over the years, cosmic rust has made its appearance in the animated series titled Transformers Cyberverse. During the dawn of the Great War, the cosmic rust posed a grave threat to the Cybertronians. However, it was believed to be limited to the outer territories. But the plague soon breached containment when the infected bots used the space bridge. Bumblebee and Hot Rod were visiting Blur on the planet of Velocitron when they came across one such infected bot. Before they could plan their move, Velocitron fell prey to the fatal disease when the track maintenance drones became infected. This accelerated their spread and led to a devastating outbreak of the plague and slowly turned everything to dust. However, Blur, along with Bumblebee and Hot Rod, witnessed the horrors of cosmic rust and first-hand saw how the rust corroded and turned everything to dust as soon as it came into contact. Many inhabitants were killed and entire cities were torn down in its way. However, Hot Rod, Bumblebee and Blur managed to reach the space bridge, but quite unfortunately Blur was already infected by the rust and thus decided to stay back. He heroically sacrificed himself and closed the space bridge to ensure the plague's spread was limited to the city and prevented it from escalating further into other worlds. Impact of cosmic rust in Michael Bay's live-action movie. The cosmic rust also had its part to play in Michael Bay's Transformers universe. The 2011 live-action film entitled Transformers: Dark of the Moon introduced a more infectious and deadly version of cosmic rust. It debuted as a weaponized disease, fused with a cannon which was then wielded by Sentinel Prime. It became a fatal tool of destruction for his foes, and the first to fall victim to it was Ironhide. As he was struck by the cannon infused with the infection, he disintegrated into dust nearly immediately. However, Sentinel Prime did not end his barbarity there. His next aim was at Bumblebee, who just narrowly managed to escape the cannon shots, which then hit and corroded metallic structures behind him. Sentinel then began targeting the Nest soldiers and demonstrated the versatility and destructive capability of his weapon of destruction. When a clash ensued between Optimus Prime and Sentinel Prime, he aimed the cannon at Optimus, but he managed to avoid being hit. Later, Sentinel again targeted Bumblebee and Sideswipe, only this time Sideswipe was hit, but managed to withstand the impact of a single blast from the cannon. This lone incident from the Bayverse timeline highlights the lethal potential of the disease in hostile hands, but also stresses the resilience and courage of the Autobots when faced with dire threats.
Let's get them, Autobots!
Marvelous verdict. The introduction of the cosmic rust to the whole timeline adds a sense of relatability to the Transformers universe. I mean, it tells us that much like us, the Cybertronians can also fall sick, and it thereby humanizes them. No doubt the clash between the Autobots and Decepticons can never go out of style, each of these parties gaining the upper hand once in a while with no clear winner. However, the inclusion of natural threats like the plague of the cosmic rust increase the sense of uncertainty and keeps the story interesting and fans intrigued. And it's the rarity of these silent disasters just waiting to happen that we want from a good Transformer arc, be it movies, shows, or even comics. So as long as these menacing, unpredictable threats are lurking in the shadows, we'll continue to be terrified and excited at the same time.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.